Hey, you know Mouse? Mouse, like the hugely significant graphic novel that tells the story of a man's survival of the Holocaust and living in multiple concentration camps, written from the perspective of his son. That Mouse?
Yeah, that's the one.
I know of it. What's going on?
Oh, a school board voted to ban it from their school libraries.
They voted to ban it? What? Is this like some sort of Holocaust denial tactic?
According to them, it doesn't have anything to do with Holocaust censorship.
Okay, so is it anti-Semitic in any way?
It's not anti-Semitic based either.
Then why'd they ban it?
It's banned because of explicit language and one nude dead mouse.
A nude dead mouse?
Yes, a nude dead mouse.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Cameron. If you haven't been here before, I make lots of videos about books and literacy. And today I wanted to kind of have a discussion about media literacy. So even though the intro was kind of about Mouse, we will get back to that in a minute. But I saw a TikTok earlier today about a woman who was expressing her frustration with how little teenagers are expressing a show of media literacy. Yeah, so I know I said a TikTok a second ago, but really I meant several. My For You page has been filled with them recently, so here's 3 that I really enjoyed.
Hello, I'm a person, a bad person, just so you know, and I'm planning on exploiting you, which is a bad thing to do. I'm now going to hurt the character you like over here, which is a bad thing to do, and you should never excuse in real life. Now, as the villain of the story, I obviously shouldn't have any redeemable or likable qualities, nor should I be attractive in any way. Because bad guys are bad people, and obviously that means they must be unattractive. I'm going to say something to the character you like that implies that they're the bad person, not me. But just so you know, I am the bad guy, don't get confused.
Yeah, the whole point of that question your English teachers kept asking you, why are the curtains blue, was not because there was actually a secret meaning to the curtains being blue. They were trying to teach you media literacy. Media literacy isn't understanding, oh, there must be a secret meaning as to why the curtains are blue. It's understanding that it is possible for there to be a secret meaning to why the curtains are blue. Media literacy is not, oh, there is objectively one correct way to interpret this work at all given times. Media literacy is about the ability to understand that a work of media can be understood in multiple different ways and be saying multiple things at the same time. It's also just the ability to infer what the story is trying to tell you without the story having to tell it to you to your face. A story should not have to be 100% honest with you in order for you to interpret it correctly. You should be able to do some of the mental legwork yourself.
When I was in middle school and I wanted to read my mom's copy of The Shining, she said, you can read it as long as you sit down and look me in the eye and you tell me that you know that what happens in books, what happens in fiction, is not the same as what happens in the real world. And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, okay, go on your merry little way. And from that point on, I could read whatever the I wanted because I understood that books are not the real world. But judging by the current state of online fandom culture and how teenagers talk to other people in fandom, I don't think that conversation is happening anymore. I think parents are just happy that their kids are reading at all, so they just leave them alone and never teach them that, hey, writing about something in fiction is not an endorsement of doing that thing in the real world. So you end up with these Puritans who go on Twitter and tell grown-ass women like me that you're a piece of shit for liking a fictional character because they've done bad things. Well, newsflash, child, they're not real. They ain't never done nothing to nobody because they're words on a page. They're not real. They can't hurt you. And if you are hurt by the book that you're reading, put the book down. You don't have to keep reading it. And you don't have to read the entire thing and then go online and write a essay about how anyone who enjoyed it is a piece of
That wasn't the whole video, I did cut some of it down, but I totally recommend checking out that creator's full video. But it made me realize I've been reading books for a very long time. I feel like when I was younger, I very clearly grasped what was right and wrong in the books that I was reading. So why are kids taking this at face value today. Now, I also wanted to discuss book banning, and I wanted to see if media literacy, or a lack thereof, is affecting the adults who are also in charge of these book bannings, or if they're just pushing an agenda, which in the United States of America in the year 2024, there's definitely a sense of that going on too. So, this is going to be kind of just a discussion about how do we feel media literacy is being affected. First, we're going to talk about what is media literacy, and then we're going to kind of discuss why are people having such a difficult time grasping media literacy. Before we get started on kind of this discussion, I want to be able to define media literacy for you as we know it. So, according to Renee Hobbs, media literacy is an expanded conceptualization of literacy that includes the ability to access and analyze media messages, as well as create, reflect, and take action, using the power of information and communication to make a difference in the world. Having a good grasp on media literacy and knowing what's going on can actually be really, really beneficial in everyday life. You're understanding the messages that every media is telling you. So, in a world where we're surrounded by a lot of, well, media, we are seeing posts on Instagram that are continually spreading false information. We are seeing TikToks where people are just coming on and saying whatever they want, and people are just taking it at face value and going along with it. I mean, I've been a victim of that too. I've grown up on the internet and I've seen videos where it's been like blatantly a lie, but I didn't necessarily have the skills to comprehend that. You would think with more and more media that people would be able to figure, oh, these are false messages. But what we're actually seeing is kind of the opposite. So many people are used to being spoon-fed information at this point that they are really struggling to understand what media is truly telling them. A knowledge and understanding of media literacy has become so important that California law has actually made it so in their schools they are actually teaching media literacy alongside several different subjects so that kids can easily understand, like, hey, here's what's going on. Another study found that kids around the age of 12 are able to understand bias in the media they're consuming and understand, hey, maybe this isn't right, maybe this isn't good. Yet another study found that young college-aged women who were struggling with their body image and were struggling through eating disorders, after they had a media literacy intervention, they actually found that a lot of media that they were consuming that was telling them they should be thin, they should lose weight, they were noticing a lot more of those patterns, and they actually reported feeling better about their bodies and less of a desire to lose weight. So media literacy is insanely important, and yet in all of these spaces, particularly fandom, we're seeing teenagers say, oh, you're a bad person if you enjoyed this bad character. Whoa, guys. Where did this disconnect happen? In what world would you think just because I enjoy, I guess Lestat was the character that she used, just because I enjoy Lestat, who is an incredibly well-written character, does not equate to me being a white supremacist? One of my favorite classic books of all time is Fahrenheit 451. It's an excellent book. It's about censorship. Like, literally the main character guy, his job is burning books. Now, I love the antagonist of this story, the captain. He is so compelling. He's really well written. He's got a really distinct voice, and I really enjoy him. That being said, me liking the antagonist of the book who is pro-book burning, does that mean I want to burn books? I mean, I feel like you could take a look around me and assume I don't want to burn books. So why are we drawing these conclusions? Is everything being spoon-fed to us? Are we being censored from books that kind of make us evaluate what is right and what is wrong? So, in 2022, a Tennessee school board banned Mouse, which was kind of what the intro skit was about, which is a really, really interesting, actually, it's a really prominent graphic novel. It's considered to be one of the graphic novels that kind of made the public more aware of what graphic novels were. It won a ton of awards, It's very, very good. I definitely recommend reading it. The author, Art Spiegelman, wrote it so that he could kind of spread the knowledge of what these people went through in the Holocaust. And the reason we have Holocaust literature is so we can not repeat what happened. We can be aware of everything that led up to what happened, and we can prevent it. What he did not write Mouse for was to draw one nude dead mouse, which is what this entire ban was over. I mean, a lot of the members of the school board literally were like, the nudity was unnecessary, as if it wasn't depicting a legitimate historical event. So, we kind of have to wonder, did they entirely miss the point of the story? Or are they choosing to do this because they don't want kids to be able to see these things and identify, maybe this stuff is bad? We have to evaluate, hey, maybe these book bannings are also getting rid of these kids' chances to understand. I mean, if you only allow kids to read books like Junie B. Jones, they're never going to be able to understand, maybe this thing is bad, because it's just a story about a first grader, you know? But if you allow them to read books such as To Kill a Mockingbird, they are able to understand bias from a sort of historical, fictional point of view. I mean, this is an entire story about a black man, who is falsely accused of something and has to go through the justice system only to be found guilty, despite everything that was said. This is going to be a lot more informative to kids about life and how we understand it than Junie B. Jones might be. Missing the point of any of these fictional books can actually be extremely detrimental to understanding the way that life is. Another video I saw recently, and I don't know if I have this anywhere, was a woman talking about how she used to be on one side of the political spectrum and used to have a lot of biases and used to be racist and a bunch of stuff like that. And then she started reading. I mean, that was literally her words in the video, was she said, and then I started to read. And her entire worldview got switched around, and she found that she was more empathetic towards people and more willing to listen to other people and willing to gain knowledge from other people. The suppression of books, the banning of books, can also block a lot of people's growth and learning and understanding of media literacy. It's all a circle, gang. Of course media literacy levels are going down. Now, social media certainly has a hand in it. It's much easier to get on your phone and scroll through TikTok or look at Instagram or go on Twitter instead of, picking up a book and reading. A lot of media comprehension and literacy has to do with reading books that challenge you, that make you think about things. When a lot of us read Harry Potter when we were younger, I would cite that as one of the first big pieces of media that I read and was like, okay, this is so clearly telling me that this is bad. I mean, there's a lot of stuff about, are you less of a wizard depending on how much wizard blood you have? Like a bunch of stuff like that, which is ironic considering what the author just did. But regardless, reading books like that made me realize, helped me really learn my moral code and helped me understand, hey, maybe I should be more empathetic towards people. Maybe I should choose to be a good person instead of whatever. A huge part of media literacy is looking at context and being able to look at characters and go, I don't know what they're doing is right, or I don't agree with the wrong things that they're doing. Getting rid of a lot of the base materials we use to start our growth and understanding of media literacy really makes kids, and honestly anybody, it really makes people struggle to understand media literacy. If we take away the books that are so clearly, this is what's right, this is what's wrong, we are never going to be able to understand getting up to a level of morally gray characters. I mean, we can look at Louis in Interview with a Vampire and go, well, he owned slaves, he actively became a vampire, but still be able to go, he is the good guy in this story. We'll never be able to do that if we're getting rid of books that are so clearly right and wrong, or books that understand and evaluate places in society. I read The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison for the first time like a week ago. Don't ask me how I didn't read it beforehand. Probably because of book bannings. But it's one of the most banned books in America. And it is a book entirely about being black. And some characters really struggle with it, and some characters really don't. So why are we banning something that analyzes an experience a lot of people have? I think it's interesting to ask ourselves that, and to look at these book bannings critically, understand maybe more what's at the root behind the banning. Because you can ban a book over one nude dead mouse, but that's not really what you're banning. Anyway, all that to say, if you are in a position where you can help people along with their journey in media literacy, I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to call out people who, if you see a video on TikTok, call them out, ask them for their sources, ask them what's the basis behind what they're saying. We have to have a basic comprehension of the things going on around us, especially the media we consume. As time goes on and we consume more and more and more and more media. Looking at the media we consume and critically analyzing it and understanding it can also help us in the real world. Once we learn how to consume media with a level of literacy that makes us understand it and know what is right or wrong, or put it into action, then we're able to look at real world instances such as book banning and go, but what is the real reason that they're doing this? So that was an incredibly rambly video. Incredibly rambly. I hope I made my point accurately. That is really all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. All of the sources are down below in the description. So all of the articles that I showed on screen, everything that I referenced, will be down below for you guys to use and read at your own pleasure. I will also tag the creators of the TikToks I mentioned if I can find them, so you can go watch their full videos. Otherwise, if you have any thoughts on this, I would love to hear it down below. I know I talked mostly from an American perspective, so I would love to hear some perspectives of people maybe who don't live in the United States. But yeah, comment down below your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate a like. Of course, subscribe. Feel free to hit the bell if you do subscribe. I post once a week on Sundays, full videos, and then I post a few times a week on shorts. And yeah, otherwise that is all I have for you today. Keep working on media literacy. Keep questioning the things around you, comprehending everything to the best of your ability. I hope you all have a really nice day, and go support your local library. All right, that's all I have. Goodbye!